Naturalistic enclosure backgrounds, homemade climbing structures, 3D printed geodesic domes, and repurposed cat trees are all great sources of snake enrichment. But if you can't afford any of those, or you don't have the tools or technical skills to make any of those yourself, there's still a really good option for an unlimited amount of free snake enrichment available in your home right now. Just put your snakes in the trash. By holding on to some of your household trash, you can give your snakes an enrichment playpen that they'll love to spend time in. So firstly, we'll go over the actual playpen itself, which is the only part of this whole video that would actually cost somebody money. So this one is, I believe, between $20 and $30 online. This is one of the smaller options out there. I kind of wish I had gotten one bigger than this to start with, because I'll want to upgrade this, especially once my boa gets a bit bigger. But this is a pretty good start. It's about, I think, 4 feet from side to side, maybe a little more than a foot deep. It's made out of a kind of tent-like material. It's got mesh on the sides and mesh top here, but the bottom is all made of this kind of tent material, so it holds water. If your snake goes to the bathroom in the playpen, which mine do all the time, it won't leak through the bottom of the playpen and get onto your floor. So it's actually kind of handy that our snakes here have kind of potty trained themselves to go to the bathroom, because just take a couple paper towels, wipe it up, spray some chlorhexidine or whatever your preferred disinfectant is, and you can get the whole thing cleaned out anytime there's any sort of bathroom activities happening inside the playpen. Now, with some of this process, there's going to be a bit of digging to get to where they actually made the mess, but we'll get to that later. For now, if you want to do what I'm doing here, you'll want to just look online for small animal playpens. Some of them, like some of the bigger ones that I want to upgrade to someday, have a hole maybe about this big at the bottom on one of the panels. I've noticed it seems like they're all made basically by the same company, sold under different names. So a common thing I've seen in a lot of listings for the larger playpens is those little holes with kind of like a metal fitting to in the hole. So if you get one of those, what I would recommend doing is just get 2 pieces of fabric and sandwich that hole in between them, and then hand stitch the fabric onto the playpen wall just to block the snakes from trying to go through that hole. And then it's also good to make sure you have one with a zipping lid, so you can close that all the way. But yeah, that's it for the playpen. I'll move on to the stuff that I put in the playpen. Doc is going into my sleeve. He likes to take naps in there. Sometimes he'll spend all day curled up in there, wrapped around my arm, just napping inside my sleeve. So now I'm going to go over some of the main types of everyday household trash that I really like to use for the snakes. First, we've got paper shopping bags. Anytime I go to a store and they put the stuff that I'm buying into a paper bag, I bring it home, I crunch it up like this, and I throw it in the snake playpen. Now the reason I have it crunched up like this is if you just kind of open it and then put it in there just open, it'll eventually fold up like this in on itself. So it's much better to open it all the way. Actually, here, Doc, you want to give me my hand? There we go. So it's better to open it and then kind of smash it up in a sort of way that will make sure it doesn't just collapse back flat again. So that's paper bags. Next we've got packing paper. This is usually already kind of crumpled up and in balls, so that's a little bit easier, but I just like to take any packing paper, shred it into manageable sizes, crinkle it up, and then stick that in there to add a little bit more volume. And then of course we've got paper towel rolls. I like to cut mine like this, just to make sure the snakes won't get stuck in it. You can probably assume that they won't, but they eventually might, especially if you have a thicker species like a ball python. The corn snake, he'd have to double up or triple up in there to really get himself wedged and need help. A ball python could get wedged a little more easily. And this is for semi-supervised playtime. You don't have to be watching them every second while they're in the playpen with all of this stuff. But you do want to be checking on them just in case they get stuck in something or have any issues or start to figure out a way to escape. But just personally, I prefer to cut things like this just so I don't have to worry about getting them unstuck if that were to ever happen. But again, if you want them completely sealed up, that's also a completely valid option. Just keep an eye on them. And then lastly, out of the main bulk items that I like to stick in there to really fill out space are just cardboard boxes with, this one was a popsicle box. There's different kinds of food boxes you can use, as long as there's no like wet kinds of food like stuck to the box. Like I wouldn't use a pizza box that I had pizza delivered in, like with bits of cheese stuck to the bottom and stuff, because that would just be an opportunity for bacteria to grow and then potentially make the snakes sick, or even just make the playpen smell bad. Now with a box like this, it does have, I don't know if you can see, it's got a little bit of a gap here that a snake could conceivably get stuck in. So just again, good example of why you should keep an eye on your snakes while they're playing in this stuff. But I've never had any issues. You can, for the most part, just assume that they'll be okay with any of these things. But like I said, just always keep an eye on them and check periodically. Okay, now I want to go over a couple of things that there might be a little less common, might be things you don't necessarily want to do with the entire playpen. You don't want to fill the whole playpen with, but they're nice to have a little bit of. So like plastic bottles, because for safety reasons, of course, you want to keep this sort of thing sealed. You don't want the snakes to go into it, but it's something they can climb on, push around, stuff like that. But I don't want to necessarily fill the playpen with too many bottles or things like that that take up a lot of volume without the snakes being able to access that volume. Just want to maximize the amount of usable space for the snakes. So I don't necessarily want to have it full of hollow objects like this, but a couple of those can be a nice little addition to throw in there. Doc is fully in my sleeve right now. We've got this cookie tin for these wafer roll cookies that we had a while back. We could roll this around. Sometimes they like to curl up inside here and sleep. They don't really do much with the lid that I've noticed, but it's just kind of another surface, another texture, a different smell. Just never hurts to have extra stuff for them to check out. So yeah, I threw this in here because it's clean, it's something different, and yeah, the snakes seem to get some use out of it. So this is just a bag, a plastic bag that paper towels came in, just to make sure the snakes don't end up in a pocket where they can't get air. There's holes torn into various parts of this bag. And again, I check on the snakes pretty regularly while they're in the playpen. So if there was any issues with the bag, I would notice it. But yeah, so far it's just kind of, Doc seems to enjoy this one. He'll curl up inside it sometimes, but just kind of another texture, another surface, something else for them to explore and check out while they're in their playpen. All right, and then this last one is kind of just a combination of things. So I took an old 12-pack box, and here's another good example of safety measures I take. So the little holes on the sides where the handles would go, I've tore these out and kind of made them a little bit bigger, specifically for the ball python, so that it would be thick enough that if he doubled his body up, went in and then came back through, it would be thick enough for 2 thick chunks of his body to still fit in there. And then same here with the bottom, these little kind of chevron shaped holes, I just tore the spots in between them so a snake wouldn't be able to get stuck. But then on the inside, I've got, so we get our toilet paper rolls have like these, oh wait, no, this is tissue paper. Yeah, there we go. This is a Scott toilet paper roll, paper cover, I guess, a wrapper. So we had a pack of that at one point, so I just saved all of those and crumpled them up. I've got a paper bag, packing paper, a paper towel tube, some toilet paper tubes. So I've just kind of taken all of this stuff and really crammed the box full of it so that the snakes are able to go in through the holes, and then they kind of would give them the experience of like having to push their way and burrow through some like loose leaf litter or something. So while the snakes are in the big playpen, which is already pretty densely packed with various types of paper goods and whatnot, they can go into the even smaller box that has even more densely packed paper, and get even more of a burrowing kind of experience out of that. Okay, and then I just also wanted to kind of touch on some my thoughts on the kinds of things I try to avoid putting in the playpen. I already talked a little bit about anything with like wet food type stuff stuck onto it. Like if there's like a box with some dry food crumbs, like that cookie tin probably has a couple of crumbs of the cookies in there, but they're dry wafer cookies. It's not really as disgusting or as much of a place to harbor bacteria as like a big chunk of cheese stuck to a pizza box on the inside. And in addition to that, another thing I try to avoid is adhesives. So packing boxes from online orders can seem like a pretty good idea, but my concern with those, I tore the address label and stuff off because I don't want to have my address in the video, but that's a sticker. It's got adhesive on it, and adhesives can be pretty harmful for snakes. If you're not aware, snakes can get stuck on things like tape, the kind of analog thermometer hygrometers that have a adhesive backing on them, and you stick them to the wall. If those fall off or the snake pulls them off, they can get stuck on those pretty bad. And in some cases, they can even hurt themselves and tear their skin trying to break free from that. So anything with like a sticker, I try to avoid having. And this packing tape here, I had, for a time I was using these boxes just with the shipping labels peeled off. But then I looked a little bit more into this kind of new packing tape, which I thought it would be okay because it's not really sticky once it's on here. But I looked into how this stuff actually works, and it's water activated. So I kind of realized if a snake uses the bathroom on one of these boxes, on an exposed edge of the tape, the liquid component of their bathroom activities might activate the adhesive, and then you're right in the same weeds you would be in as if they had gotten any other kind of tape stuck to them. So for that reason, I avoid boxes with any kind of packing tape, even this newer tape that is more or less dry and non-sticky when it arrives at your door, just because there is a chance with it being water activated that it could become adhesive and sticky again while your snake is in there with it. Alright, so that was everything I wanted to go over for the kinds of stuff I like to put in the snake playpen. So we'll move over to where the playpen itself is actually set up and take a look at how it works in action. Alright, so let's take a look at how it all comes together. So I keep the playpen right here, which is right next to my desk. So if I'm doing any work at my desk or playing video games or anything like that, if the snakes are interested in coming out of their enclosures and getting in some exercise, I'll be able to keep an eye on them just by periodically checking on the playpen, and I can be at my desk doing whatever it is I need to do. So yeah, as you can see, I like to keep it pretty much full all the way to the brim, kind of inspired by these sorts of rocky outcrops and stuff where you'll find a lot of snake dens, where you'll see like in documentaries of like garter snakes or rattlesnakes coming out of their hibernation dens. You'll see a lot of them in big rocky hilly areas where there's a pile of rocks that they can just slither inside of. And then here in New England we've got a lot of rock walls because it's very rocky soil. So when farmers during colonial days would be getting their fields ready to farm, they'd dig up all these rocks, bring them to the edge of the property, and just kind of make a big long wall out of the rocks. And that's a common place where people see certain types of snakes. They'll like to go into the rocks. So I kind of treat these paper goods as sort of like more flexible rocks. I guess something between rocks and leaves. They're bigger and more to climb on like a rock, but they're also pliable and crinkly like a leaf. And so snakes love rocks. Snakes love rocks and leaf litter. So yeah, combine the two and you get something like this. I don't think Doc is interested in the playpen right now. Let's see, can we see him in there? Not quite. Yeah, he's pretty deep in there, but you can kind of see that bump around my wrist right here. That's Doc the corn snake wrapped up. So I'll throw in some B-roll over this part of some clips of the snakes enjoying the playpen. But yeah, this is where they like to hang out. They'll, because of all the paper stuff in here, it's very easy to hear them moving around. So if they aren't likely to, here, I'll zip it up real quick. It's got a zipper lid here. Come on. So it fully zips up and gets fully enclosed. As you can see, theoretically a snake could kind of wiggle their nose in here and make a gap to escape through. Again, why it's important to keep tabs on your snakes while they're in a setup like this. But an advantage of using so much paper and cardboard is it makes a lot of noise when the snakes are crawling on it and through it and under it and in it. So as long as the snakes are moving around and enjoying the playpen, there's kind of a constant background crinkling noise, which is helpful because I know if that stops, they've either taken a nap because they're done with the playpen, or I know to look to make sure they're not escaping. Because of how it's, even when I'm not looking right at them, I can kind of hear that they're still doing okay in there. This is just a perfect spot. As long as I'm down here and able to keep an ear out and look in on them every now and then, they can spend as much time as they want down here. Pretty much the only limit, other than when I have to, leave the basement, I can't be down here to watch them anymore. The only other thing that limits their time down here is the temperature. In the winter, it gets a little bit colder in the house, so the ball python and the boa, I don't like to leave them in here for too long when it's cold. But the corn snake, he's pretty much fine. He'll, even when it's a little bit colder down here in the winter, he'll spend well over an hour moving constantly, climbing over stuff. I hear him falling down. He'll climb on a box and knock it over, and he just doesn't quit. So you do want to be mindful of the temperatures in your house and the tolerance ranges of the snakes you have in the playpen, and don't let them be in there too long. And also don't put them in there if they're digesting, of course. Only put them in when they don't need constant access to heat to make sure that they're able to safely digest. But if there's not a meal in the snake and the temperatures in your house are within their safe range, you can let them enjoy a setup like this to pretty much for as long as you're willing to. And yeah, it only costs whatever the price is of whichever playpen you decide to go with. Everything else is just stuff you were going to have anyway, that you can let your snakes get a little bit of enjoyment out of before they go in the trash. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I hope that some of these suggestions were helpful and gave you some good ideas of what you can do for enrichment for your own snakes. If you're wondering where the video I promised almost a year ago is about on the topic of keeping snakes in a house with cats and dogs and how to keep everyone safe, so I did make that video, but when I watched it back, I decided it just isn't quite a thorough enough dive into the topic. And when it comes to things like safety for animals, I'd rather not put something out unless I'm 100% behind it. And there's just so many different things can go wrong. I'm hesitant to tell people, this and this work, because every situation is going to be different. Anyway, I don't know what the next video is going to be. Don't know when the next video is going to be. I'm not setting schedules or deadlines for myself anymore, because I tried that before and then I ended up taking more than half a year and didn't even put out the video that I had said I was going to be making. So it'll be a surprise when I upload again and what I upload again. So keep a lookout for that. Thanks everyone. Bye.